Good evening. It is still the 27th day of May, and this is your Sunday PM message, your word for today, for the evening. And it's going to be one short scripture, and it's basically in John 18. This is part of what I spoke on this morning at Connecting Point. And it's in John 18, verse 38. And this is after Jesus has been apprehended, and they bring him before Pilate. And Pilate's talking with him, and Jesus is talking back. And to get down to verse 38, and Pilate says unto him, "What is truth?" And when he has said this, he went out again unto the Jews and said unto them, "I find in him no fault at all." It's kind of a funny statement, but how many of us ask, what really is truth? I mean, in a world where there's so much information, there's so many religions, there's so many theologies, there's so many ideologies, there's so many different ways to look at things. And it's probably hard sometimes to figure out what the truth is. We as Americans, we can't help but look at our country and wonder, is it true? Are we a great country, or are we no different than anybody else? I would say that the whole planet is filled with lies. I shared with the body this morning that the translation for truth, when I checked it out in these particular scriptures in the Greek, the word the word that's translated for truth literally means true. And it also means to not conceal, or to not be concealed. Truth is simply not things that are covered up, not lies. And people look for truth, and it's very easy at times in this world to be deceived. Commercials deceive us. All kinds of advertising deceives us and makes us. I was watching some TV this afternoon, and I was looking at all the different commercials and how they all try and convince you that their product is the best, that you really need what they have. And the world has a philosophy, you know. We've been stuck in Colossians, and in Colossians it says that, I want to read it exactly, because we've been sharing this and kind of going over this. "Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the traditions of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ. For in him dwells all the fullness of the Godhead bodily, and ye are complete in him, which is the head of all principalities and powers." I'm a Jesus pusher. I'm a guy that's trying to get people convinced that Jesus is the way. He is the way, the truth, and the life. Pilate asked him, "What is truth?" And Jesus is pretty clear in Scripture as he tells people, you know, my word is truth. I am the way, the truth, and the life. And the world will try and convince you that they have the truth. And each of us have free will, so it's up to us to try and seek out the truth. I try my best to share the truth of God's love, because that's what really convinced me. I mean, I've had God speak to me since I was 18. Literally, after a car accident when I was 18, the Lord had spoken to me, and I didn't know it was Him and didn't understand what was going on until I was like 4 or 5 years later, when I finally gave my heart to the Lord, and He revealed who He was and that it was Him speaking to me all along. Much of my poetry that I've written as a young man was God-inspired, was God-breathed. I knew I had a gift. I knew that what I was writing wasn't coming from my brain. And as I got older, I started to recognize where the gift came from and started using it for His glory. Each and every one of us have to seek out God to find out what truth is. But what you're going to find out is that the only real truth is found in Him. And that's going to be my word for this evening, okay? Don't want to belabor it. I hope that God's truth is revealed to you in a way that you're convinced. because, I can talk all I want, but you have to be convinced. All right? Hey, God bless you. Remember, I love you, but more importantly, God loves you.